What is up, nerds and nerdettes? Welcome back to another episode of The Pull. I'm your host, AJ Kunze. So I must have done something that pissed off Thor, or Zeus, or Quetzalcoatl, or whatever deity of lightning or sky that you choose to sacrifice goats to. Because for the past 2 weeks, the area I live in has suffered massive blackouts due to the fact that gods of all kinds hate the Midwest and decide to bombard it with ridiculous weather. So that's why the episodes have been late. I can't edit or record if there's no power. So hopefully all magical sky beings are going to take it easy on me this week so I can actually get this episode out in a reasonable amount of time. Anyway, this is enough excuses. Let's get to those comic books. If you have any sort of awareness of the talent currently working in comic books, when they announced Chrononaunts, you had an explosive pants incident. This book is created by the power combination of writer Mark Millar, or Mark Millar, I fucking pronounce it differently, and Sean Murphy. And to be fair, when you see those two names glued together, your expectations shoot through the ceiling. And Chrononaunts is by no means a transcendent book, but it is a very fun and interesting one. At its heart, it's a time travel story. Time travel stories are very much in that genre of things that are very cliche based. Paradox, or going back and meeting former selves, and you know, becoming your own dad, really gross stuff like that. Millar and Murphy managed to break out of those old cliches by kind of asking themselves a very simple question. What would you do as a real person if you could travel through time? Right now, be completely honest with yourself. Would you document history or see these great moments, or change the world for the better by going back and killing Hitler or Stalin or Jimmy Carter? Or would you just fuck around a lot? And that's what Chrononaunts is. Two best friends super scientists discover time travel, and they basically use it to party like frat boys all throughout history. Steal a jet and drive it past a dinosaur. Go back and watch the first creature emerge from the primordial ooze and take a picture of it with their camera phone. You go back and watch the birth of Jesus and give him a birthday present. They give him a gold crucifix. And this is all done in the classic Mark Millar style. Dry, sarcastic jokes, very clever characters, sudden and out-of-place profanity and grotesquerie. I don't think grotesquerie is a word. Hey, grotesquerie is a word. It's fun and popcorny and big, and Sean Murphy fucking kills the art like he always does. Though nothing's ever perfect, the characters, while interesting and funny, aren't particularly likable. They're kind of D-bags, like most of the main characters in a Mark Millar story are. So at the end of the book, when Millar kind of introduces the main conflict that the series is going to have and tries to make you care that the stakes are getting raised, you don't really, because you kind of want bad things to happen to these douchebags. So I think I'm going to change the name of this show from The Pull to AJ telling you how awesome Image is every single fucking week. So big surprise, an Image releases a new #1 this week, and it's really good and smart and well put together in almost every regard. Tithe #1 is a very thoughtful and smartly put together book. Basically the plot is these terrorists that dress up like Jesus go and rip off these big corporate churches and expose the ministers as corrupt, embezzling douchebags. They didn't take all the money they stole from these big corporate churches and give the money to charity. So we have our basic Robin Hood setup. The book purposefully portrays these Robin Hood characters as fucking assholes. They're criminals and bullies, and they're very hard to sympathize with. They have a very valid point, corruption in organized religion and the ability of these religious shysters to manipulate people and remove simpletons from their money. This very quickly could turn into a very anti-religion book, but writer Matt Hawkins, who is a very vocal atheist, balances his point. The FBI agent investigating this is a Christian who found the church through his future wife and used his faith to kind of heal all these closeted rage issues he had. What happens here is you have a critique of big organized religion juxtaposed against the small, intimate healing powers of faith. So he balances both sides of the topic, and the reader is left very much confused on who the hero of the story actually is. It's really smart and really interesting how I put this together, because at one point you have the pro argument for basic religion. I don't want to get too much in this because no one's like, hey, you know what I want in my internet comic book show? Jesus. Basically, Hawkins does a really good job of showing us the personal positive place that religion can have juxtaposed against all the shitty things people have done throughout history and then use religion justify, like crusades and the Inquisition and all that kind of stuff. Jesus loves me, this I know. 'cause the Bible told me to draw and quarter you. And it does all this without being preachy, because this book could have really come down to a lot of monologues and soliloquies and these big rants about ideology. Instead, it uses the plot and dialogue and characters and metaphors to actually get its point across. But this wouldn't be my show if I didn't talk shit about it a little bit. The art never really transcends adequate. And all design choices taken with a book are very safe and boring. And at the end, you're feeling that the book lacks personality, and this really smart narrative is kind of plastered over a very flat and boring world. Tithe is just really interesting, and I haven't put down a book and had so much spinning in my head for a really long time, so it's definitely worth checking out. So the award for the book that pissed AJ off the most this week goes to this fucking book. Run, Love, Kill, Run, Kill, Love, Run didn't piss me off because it's a bad book. I read bad books every single week. If reading a bad comic book was all that it took to piss me off, then my body would be 90% peptic ulcer. The reason Run, Love, Kill pissed me off was because I opened the book and I started reading it and I'm like, yes, yes, someone gets comic books. First 10 pages of Run, Love, Kill are completely wordless. It sets up this brand new science fiction world with nothing but pictures. Color designs are thoughtful, they convey mood and attitude. Action sequences are cut in with these like cello sequences, and it gets this very somber, kind of dark, mysterious mood to it. And the details and the things shown in picture do a really, really amazing job of sort of building this world that we're gonna now start adventuring in. And the art is incredible, from the cinematography to how the action moves panel to panel. Everything is just wonderful, and I'm like, finally we have a new science fiction book that's gonna push past all the monologue world building stuff where some character explains everything about this world in 3 huge blocks of text, and then we can actually get to the story. We're actually gonna create mystery and build a world in a stimulating way, and then the words happen. Listen, I criticize books a lot for being overwritten and just packed with too much fucking text, and I don't hate words. The text and words are half of the medium I'm talking about, but words and pictures can't function independently. They have to mesh together, they have to complement each other, and they both can't do the same thing at the same time, which is exactly what happens. As soon as this really kinetic, awesome scene ends, it immediately goes into exposition, explaining the character and how she feels about things, and oh, the government's bad, and this is a totalitarian system, and I'm a young angsty hero who's plucky and lovable, and just trust me that everything's bad, even though I don't know you, bitch. Why would I trust anything you say when you have not established yourself as a credible source? When you're building a world or a story or anything, you build the character, you get us to trust them, to love them, to care if they get shot in the head and thrown in a ditch. And then you use their actions and interactions to build a world. You show us the evil of the government or the big corporation or whatever the villain that you're setting up for us is. Fucking Hunger Games, we see how awful and terrible the government is through actions in the story. We're not just told it and expected to trust it, but instead it takes the easy and cliche wit. This young, punky, plucky female hero comes in, says, hey, the government is awful, and they're oppressive and mean and kind of D-bags, and I don't like them, so I'm gonna run away and join the circus, or go out into the woods and do the Walt Whitman thing and write poetry all the time, or I don't fucking know. They don't demonstrate to us that the government is bad. They just tell us and expect us to go, "Okay." As Run, Love, Kill builds, it brings nothing new to the table. It regurgitates the same ideas and expects us to enjoy it because it looks pretty. It is the same regurgitation of the worst cliches in the genre. And during a time when Image is doing so much that's good and original and smart and well put together and is offering something new and exciting, skip this book. Alright, that's it for AJ's Angry Corner this week. Fucking Run, Love, Kill. Oh wow, it's over already? It was kind of a slower week in comics, so I'm sorry if it's a bit of a shorter episode. I mean, I can pad it out if you want. There, all better. As always, I want to take some time to thank you guys for commenting and sharing and for enjoying this show. We're creeping up on hitting 200 subscribers. You can help us get there by liking and sharing this video. Every new person that subscribes to this channel this week will be added to my will. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Now get out of here and go read comics.